So the record that just came out is this like group of songs I would write when I wasn't sewing. And that's how I found my sound that I loved. It took me being alone and having no pressure from the outside to make any music. And I found like I loved what I was doing. I loved making music with no pressure.
There has got to be more than this.
Annie Williams, thank you
Hey.
so much for making your way all the way over here from Bordeaux.
Oh,
We'll just let the people figure out where that is.
actually, it's called Jordonia.
Georgonia?
Jordonia. Which is really like who the heck, no one in Nashville knows where that is.
But you said Bordeaux just because that's like the layman's term. That's like the
Bordeaux
entry
is
level.
closer. That like more people know where that is, you know? And then deep, yeah, it's Jordonia. You can find it on the map.
In a little known corner of Nashville, Annie Williams made her home. And what a home it is. And I kind of want to talk to you about that. But mostly, you've had a really eclectic career. And it's kind of difficult to find your backstory because there's not a Wikipedia, and your website is very current focused.
Oh
In
yeah,
the
my
best
label
way.
made it. He was like, "Let me make this for you." Yeah.
Your partner?
No, my label, the
Your label
label
made
that put out my recent record, YK. Shout out, Michael Eads, you're the best.
Well, they're doing a great job because
Yeah.
everything is bespoke.
Thanks.
Is high praise from me. But before that, this record, I mean, you've been making music for a long time.
Yeah, a
And
long time.
You also starred in a film. Is that
Yeah.
fair to say? This is probably 2012.
No, it was like 2016 it came out. 20, yeah,
And it made quite a splash.
it did.
Had a great run on this film festival circuit. And so I want to talk a little bit about that because you never talk about that. I feel like.
I guess not. Well, listen, I'm not really like acting now, so it's not
Yeah,
like
I
I'd
mean,
be like, "Hey,
that's why I
did
kinda
you
wanna bring it
remember
up.
that I made that film and it won awards? It has like leaves on it, you know, when you look it up.
No,
There's like no, I don't. There's not like a context where I can like pull out a card.
yeah, that's funny.
I think. Well, anyway, keep going.
Leaves are strong though. You see the leaves and you're like, damn, that picture.
Yeah,
counts.
look at it. There's foliage.
I got a few of those too. And the first time I threw one on there, I was like, dude, this is real.
So
now,
nice.
guys.
Like a little
Doesn't matter where the
stamp.
leaf's from.
Yeah, you just put a leaf on there.
Yeah.
The leaves.
Very legitimizing. Totally. We're all little Caesars. Okay, well, props on the brand new record, Visitor.
Thank you.
Great collection of songs and cool recording, cool approach. And maybe we could just kind of start by talking about how that record came together and
Okay.
whatever you want to say, and we'll see where it goes.
Okay. That record started like it felt very uphill, like a boulder uphill. And that's personally, not like logistically, because I feel like I can't talk about the record unless I talk about my full past. So like,
Yeah, that's great.
I came to Nashville 2007, long time ago.
In an unusual way.
Yeah. Have I told you that?
That
Maybe.
part is in the bio, and
Oh,
you
it
did
is.
mention it because I was like, "Are you
Chris
from
Crofton?
Wyoming?"
Yeah, Chris Crofton. When he did an interview with me, he put that in the bio. Like he was like, "You got picked up by a hip hop group from the middle of nowhere in Wyoming." And I was like, "That is how I landed in Nashville." It was. I would never have attempted to do music in any public way. I don't think, unless they plucked me out of the really small environment. I had never played a show. The first show I played was with that hip hop group from Nashville, Grits, and it was in front of 4,000 people. And I never played a guitar in front of anyone on stage, and my guitar broke, and I just stood in front of all these people at a festival. It was wild. Okay, that's the story. Let's go to the record. So, tracking to the record, I like would come to Nashville. That band would fly me to Nashville, right? And like, it was like first presented to me that I could create a body of work. Because at the time when they met me, I was like writing songs for friends. If they were like, "Can you?" Because I was talented, I could like play the guitar and sing I took guitar lessons since I was 9, and it was a passion of mine. I could play lots of Jewel covers, and
Great point of entry.
yeah. Let's see. So I would like write songs for friends, and that's what I was like playing at this party, and they picked me up, and were like, "Will you let us fly you to Nashville?" So I said yes, and then went on tour, and it was awful. Like they were like,
With them. still.
Yeah, awful. No, oh no, I love them, but
No,
I
but
did not
the
like
tour
it.
was not good. Okay.
I-
You went on tour with them. I'm just trying
It felt so fake to me. I was like, oh my, like the idea of presenting a performer version of myself, I hadn't figured out what, I was so lost, right? I had gone from a world where there's no structures of ladder or popularity. Like I was living in Wyoming. I was very happy snowboarding every day and going. Actually, I almost didn't go to the party where they met me because my husband and I had this really crappy snowmobile and we went snowboarding every day and towed each other around. So like, that was my whole life, was like outdoors. I was on the bike team for the University of Wyoming. It was like if anything was hard in my life, it was like because it had to do with something in the athletic realm or like academic realm, because that was my whole existence. And so when I was thrown into music, I was like, it just felt like that band I was touring with was like pretty popular in like the hip hop Christian world, which also I was like, this is bizarre. And I did not like the feeling of like popularity. Like I also rejected that really hardcore in high school. I was like, I was just like really, I just didn't like the feeling of being on tour and feeling elevated above the people out. And also the band kind of had that vibe of like, we're cool. And I was like, I don't like that idea. So I just shut down and went back to Wyoming. And I was like, I don't want to be, I could just feel going, I would go to parties with them and they were like really. Anyways.
Here in Nashville.
Yeah. And
how long was that first little iteration?
it was for a summer. I came here and I taught skiing and wakeboarding at Camp Widgewagon on the lake, Percy Priest Lake during the week. And then I would tour with them on the weekends. And it's funny. I was just like, I have to get a job outside if I'm going to survive, like mentally, because it's still how we live now. It's like outside primarily, just active, you know. I feel like I'm going on tangents.
Well, I want to just for a second there was obviously, even though you hated the popularity, you kind of eschewed it from an early age. There was something in there that made you want to go to Nashville. There was something in there.
So I ran tail between my legs back to Laramie, and I was like, I'm never going back to Nashville. It felt so like, it was just the way they had presented music to me was not my type of music. And then, so I went back to Laramie, but like Laramie had changed for me. Like I was like not happy there. And I realized that I had found a community and artists here. Like I had met people for the first time I could relate to on an artist level. And I was like, oh, you think about the world this way? Like, and then going back to Wyoming, I was like, oh no, like my whole community there is just like people who travel in their vans so they can like climb for a month in no middle, and you know what I mean? It's like, it's just a different type of lifestyle. So I all of a sudden found myself really unhappy there. And then I was like, oh crap, I'm unhappy here now. Maybe I should go back to Nashville. So that seed was planted. And I was like, so I finished school because I still had finished some college. And then my husband, Ben, who was my boyfriend at the time, I met him when I was 19. We're, together. And I was like, I think I have to try Nashville. And he was always just like, there's no climbing there. Yeah. And he still is like, there's no climbing there, which is why we're moving actually, because it's finally time for Ben to have
his turn. Yeah.
So going back to that, I was like, I think I have to go. I was like, we'll stay together, but like, I gotta go. Like, I gotta go back to Nashville and do it my way. They'd offered me like a record contract like 3 times. And I said no every time. I was that
Christian hip hop label.
Yes. And I was like, I can't make a record with you. Like, that's not me. And I have to work very hard to find who I am. This is going to be long road. So I did. I made 2 EPs, a little live EP, and I produced, do you know Claire Indy, the cello player?
I do. Brief interjection before Claire. Who, you said that when you first came to town, you were like, this isn't my scene, Christian gospel scene.
Which of course is,
Right. Say no more.
Like,
what? No more.
Yeah.
You're safe here. But you obviously ran into some people that made you feel like, oh, it's not all just that. It's
it was some people in their camp too. Like, I met this rapper. Oh my gosh, like soulmate friend. His name is Iz. I don't even know where he's at now. But shout out to Israel if you're out there. I think he lives in Jacksonville, Florida. Rough upbringing, holy crap, but like amazing artist. Also, like, not really, both of us were like, why are we in this like Christian scene? Somehow we're like, I'm on a tour bus, so we should just keep saying yes. It was like a real fluke. Yeah. That's also why I had to say no. I was like, I can't make Christian music. I'm a very spiritual person, but this would be a lie. Yeah. You'd just be profiting off of my talent and it would be a lie. So anyways, I feel like now I've gone on another tangent. What?
No, I brought that about. Okay. But you're just like, my point is just that, let's see, the larger point is that some people when they move here, they don't know that there's it's not the a new music scene. There's several music scenes.
So many music scenes.
And you might not be lucky your
Yeah.
first time out and find that one. I know that when I first came here, I had like wrapped up my Pacific Northwest thing. I'd made several records up there. I was a bluegrassing guy, and I was like serious singer songwriter. All I wanted to do was be Lyle Lovett, and came to town, was like yes to everything because here we go. And I tried to like do Right on the Row with people.
Oh.
You know, I mean, I didn't know. I'm like, I don't know anybody. And you just start from the very beginning. And I've always been like, well, one thing that's pretty good is just say yes at the beginning, because it'll be painful and you'll hit your head against the wall a whole bunch of times, but something will eventually give. Anyway, there was like a 6-week iteration of that where I was just trying a bunch of things, and I'd go to a bunch of shows, and I'm just like, there's so many. I'd never worn a pair of cowboy boots in my life, and like I didn't like cowboy hats. Now I'm kind of into it, but it took 20 years. But the very last night that I was there before I had to go home and kind of like play my last run of shows in Seattle and stuff, I went to a club that's on 4th. I can't remember the name of it now. It's gone. Now it's a barbecue joint, Martin's. But it was a music venue. I'm sure that you played there or something. I think there was probably some overlap. But I saw like Katie Herzig play and Matthew Perryman Jones.
Oh, Katie Herzig. I met her out in Wyoming.
Oh, wow.
So bizarre.
But I would put her in a camp of like kind of an odd fit for a Nashville.
Yes, agreed.
But like an artist type. And Matthew Perryman Jones and like the singer-songwriter forward.
Both of them are so, yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
and I was just like, oh, these people are here. And for the first time in that, the whole time, I was like, oh, there's a place for me.
Yeah.
I get this. More importantly, like I like this music.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was my interjection.
No, I get it. It takes a long time to find your people, and then you like lose them, and then you find new people. I feel like right now, it's funny that I'm moving, but I have found a very awesome community it's not necessarily that I'm leaving. I have to keep telling myself that. And I also have to rely on the fact that like everything is always changing anyway. It's not going to stay the same even if I am here. So, but yes, I love Nashville. The community of musicians here is like so amazing.
Yeah.
It's
So this is a bittersweet moment for you.
Oh, it's like, yeah, I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna cry on my last show. My last show is August 1st at the Blue Room. Shout out if you guys want to buy a ticket. Anyways, I'm opening for Juan Waters. He's from New York. Okay,
Exciting.
so anyways, so my record that just came out, I wrote the songs. So okay, I hit a wall trying to find my people in Nashville, and I found myself really like angry, like which I didn't want to feel that way. So in order to not feel angry or frustrated and not finding my way, which I didn't even know what success was, I think now okay, so I had this through line where I've always been a seamstress. I learned how to sew handbags in Wyoming, sewing climbing equipment for a company called Organic Climbing Mats, and they do like bouldering mats. They're an awesome company. Mm-hmm. Josh Hilke, shout out to him. He's like
still going strong.
Oh yeah, he's got a huge factory in Philadelphia. I think that's where they're. And he taught me how to sew, and I brought that skill here, and got a job. I think Evan helped me. She helped me find a job at I'm Jean and Willie sewing jeans immediately. And so like through that, there's not a lot of industrial seamstresses floating around in Nashville. So I just got like work would just come via word of mouth to me, like making custom things. So I was making just custom random stuff for Climb Nashville. And then I started making my own handbags just for myself. And when the music stuff felt like I was hitting a hard wall, I would always go to sewing, and that felt so cathartic and no pressure. Like I would just make stuff for myself, right? And it was a good income. So I started making bags, and I was like I was filling in for a friend at a coffee shop, and I had a bag with me, and this Vanderbilt woman, like gal, she was a sorority gal from Vanderbilt who owned this coffee shop. She was like, "Oh, where'd you get that bag?" I was like, "I made it." And she was like, "Can I buy 15?" I was like, 15? She's like, "Yeah, I want to give them to like my sorority sisters or something." I was like, "Sure." And I actually went to Claire Indy, who we've talked about prior, and she was like in that fashion. I don't know. I was like, "Tell me what I should pay. Like, what should I charge?" And Claire was like, "Charge high so you don't ever have to like backtrack." So I was like, okay, $250 for like these bags. And I found out.
Each, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you know.
So I
great.
figured out how to buy
that.
hides, and then I just like from there I just made this company. And it grew so naturally. It was like so fun until it wasn't.
until it became.
I mean, it was like I think I sewed for a couple years before I even like made a website. This awesome creative director, Nicole Irene from Canada, I met through like friends. I just met her through friends, and she like really spearheaded my image online and made me look super official, and built a website, and then from there it's like the company really did pretty well for my ragtag ability to run a business. And I was doing that like instead of writing music. So I was writing music for myself on my own, but I stopped playing shows for like 6 years, and I just did that. And so the record that just came out is this like group of songs I would write when I wasn't sewing. And that's how I found my sound that I loved. It took me being alone and having no pressure from the outside to make any music. Because I do feel like that's the hard thing about Nashville for me is I am competitive by nature. That's like why I would have this athletic past of like racing bikes. And I put a lot of pressure on myself to be running with the horses like that are fast. You know, I just want to be like successful, whatever. I don't know. So it took me doing the bags to release pressure off music. And then I just found my own sound, and I found like I loved what I was doing. I loved making music with no pressure. And so then, and I was pretty good at like figuring out how to record myself. Like I had a little setup, and I found a residency program in Appleton, Wisconsin. And when I got enough confidence, I started making demos, and there's like a couple of the songs I engineered and recorded are on. I first did them in 2017. So this record is kind of old. It was just like pieced together. So then this serendipitous moment happened where I sold bags. I was making red carpet bags for the people who put music in the Twilight movies and became friends with them and shared my music with them. That like these 2 small EPs I made when I first moved to Nashville, they loved them. They put them in Grey's Anatomy. And then when they became friends, so when I let them know that I wasn't going to do bags anymore, just through word of mouth in the friend group, they found out, and they were like, they offered me a publishing deal. So like, it was like a very easy transition when I wanted to start doing music full time. The door was just flew open very fast. So I closed up shop with the bags kind of slowly, just deflated it. And then started writing music for TV and film, and was still working on my own personal stuff, but getting tons of studio practice, singing all the time, meeting new people. It's not like I loved TV writing. It was kind of hard for me, but it really just was like ripping off the Band-Aid of like, just that's what I should have done when I first got here. You know, say yes and be in all those rooms writing all the different types of songs. It was a really fun time. And then I met Bill Reynolds through Cobalt. They just paired me up with him to write some TV songs. But when I got in his freaking studio and he had all this awesome gear, I was like, oh, we're going to be more than just like TV writing buddies. And I just started playing. Like I was like a kid. Like I was like, oh my gosh, you have this and you have this and you need a vocoder. And I started writing a song immediately. Like within 5 minutes of getting there, I was like, can I play on this vocoder? And I wrote a melody, and I wrote a song for myself and tracked it. We did it all in like 2 hours. And he was like, I was writing it so fast. He was like going crazy at the board, trying to like plug in, you know, like the right plugins and stuff. And and so I made my record actually pretty over the course of like a year, because he was giving me free time. And so I made it like just kind of sporadically with Bill. But every time I had a day with him, I literally would like write and record the song in like 3 hours. It was like so fast.
Wow.
Like, it was like lightning with him. So I recorded half the record up in Appleton and the rest with Bill Reynolds here. And he somehow magically like put it all together. So that's why the last half of the record feels really like soft and slow and like my version of like Mazzy Star. And then, but the front end of the record is kind of like more high energy with Bill, just having a good time.
Yeah. I mean, what you said earlier about realizing when you got that initial publishing deal that, oh, this is what I should have been doing the whole time. And I'm like, you know what? Actually, it's kind of, your story is a testament to there being a right time.
Oh yeah.
For everything.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, and that you didn't really force anything. And in a town where forcing is common, I think that there's a feeling like a lot of us, if you move to Nashville and you survive, there's something part of you that's competitive. because you'll go home as
Right.
people do,
Yeah.
you know, and fine. And so of those people who stay and who are really competitive, it's difficult not to, I don't know, find a balance between being assertive and getting out there and finding your way and not taking no for an answer maybe, and also being patient and letting the thing that's inside of you come out in its time. And I often, like, sometimes poor college students, I'll talk to them in some capacity about, you know, being an artist and stuff. Woe unto anyone who would take any advice from me. But
come on.
but there's books like, you know, like a book that was so important to me when I was like maybe 20 was Letters to a Young Poet by Maria Rilke. And that idea of just like art gestating at its own pace, and you really can't force it. It just, you can be available to it, but it comes in its time. Also about the film and TV gig, plural, that you did. I did a bunch of that in maybe in that time. And I had some placements and stuff. And for a second I was like, oh, this is going to be a great way forward for me. And I found that I just kind of couldn't do it. The writing for spec. And, I had a couple of instances where, I worked a lot with a friend of mine named Tim Lauer. Maybe, I don't know if you've crossed his path. I loved him.
Actually, my husband has taken Tim Lauer's kids climbing, or daughter climbing.
He speaks so highly of you guys, by the way, because I mentioned you.
Yeah, I love him.
Yeah.
I love him. Yeah, I don't, our song, like we songwrite together, but it's like more like, I don't think that's going to go anywhere. Obviously, I mean, I'm done TV writing, but Tim was towards the end.
Yeah, he shut it down. You're like, well, whatever was left.
Like, Tim, no, yeah, he really got whatever was left. I'm like, hopefully he likes me as a song. He probably, whether he does or not, whatever.
Just kidding, Tim.
He likes Ben. Because
he said it. He said as much. Everybody loves you guys, but that gig of just like writing for an outside, writing to a spec or writing to a prompt, I guess that's what you would say. It's actually like not, on its face, not deplorable to me or impossible. But then there's something about like the rewards of it. Like when I'd get a placement, it was nice to get the money, but it meant nothing to me.
Oh, yeah.
It meant nothing. And that I saw the people that were starting to kind of pull away and like do really well in that.
Oh, yeah.
They were pulling away from being artists, like even, by their own definition. They were just like, you know what, we're sync writers now and we're going to do this 5 days a week and we're just going to throw it. It's a numbers game. You got to just keep cranking it out. And I realized that like that future, I could see where that would lead. And I was like, that's not going to be what makes me happy. Instead, I'll be poverty stricken and do house concerts for 10 years, which was my path and actually suited me really well and allowed me to make the music that I wanted to make on my own terms. And, consequently I've like existed largely outside the music business somehow in a music business town, but I don't even know where I'm going with this other than to say that it's just
we're talking about
the
TV
freedom
writing.
and I mean, it's like, here's a connect is Crofton in his bio about you, leans heavily on this idea of the sacred and how important it is to him.
So flattering. I can't believe when he served that, I was like, whoa, that's not what I expected.
Well, it was
so
touching
sweet.
and rather beautiful. And also not knowing you super well, but what I have known of you, I was like, that feels about right.
Oh, that's I mean, really, I am emotional. When he wrote that, I was like tears. I was like, that's the nicest thing anybody's ever said.
But so it's very beautiful.
Yes, that's so nice of him to say.
and it's true. I mean, like I feel like you have a relationship to the sacred but also like that your music comes from that place, and so
fully. Yeah, TV writing, not from that place, really. It's probably why I couldn't last in it either. But I did enjoy being like a persona sometimes, I like my pop. I have a pop persona on Spotify named Ann Mar. She like pays for groceries.
Oh, I listened. Yeah.
Wait, did I tell you that on set one time when we worked or something?
No, I just found it on my own.
Yeah, it keeps popping. It's like haunting me. Ann Mar, my like pop persona, is haunting the Spotify, and I'm like, oh crap. And it even has like a similar like profile picture. I'm like, I I need to do some cleanup.
Okay, I'm so glad you solved this mystery for me because I was just listening to it today.
Oh, you
her,
were? Oh my gosh. Her, yeah.
And I was listening to you, and then it was on radio, and so all of a sudden it's
Yeah,
like,
it's on my
and I'm
radio.
like, that doesn't sound like Annie.
No, it's.
And then
me,
I
but-
look and the picture, I'm like, that. I swear to God, that's Annie.
Yeah, I really have to. Oh, I gotta clean that up. Like,
I mean, how? What are you going to tell your
I just
people to take it down?
I'm just gonna put a different picture up because it's funny. They're both black and white pictures of me. That was like that I like threw up there like years ago. So, anyways, yeah. But I wrote that whole persona for Riverdale, the show Riverdale. It made a big splash, you know.
Fantastic.
And, yeah, and I have another one named Regina Price, who also she's real big in the Grey's Anatomy.
Yeah.
But also like millions of plays. It like pays some bills.
Fantastic.
You know? But I would never play that stuff live. That's also I felt a little bit false. But there are some people in the sync world that it is their heart and soul. I will say that I met them. And the people on my team were like, and so when I saw that happening and I felt like I was a bit false, that's when I knew like morally that I felt like I shouldn't do it. If I'm not going to be business about it, but I'm also, anyways, I would just go into rights and be writing sometimes with team members who were very heartfelt. And I felt like I was kind of mocking them. You know what I mean? And I'm like, that's not fair to them. And also not fair to me. I need to just be doing my music. And that's also why the boulder was really hard to push up the hill because I was in that TV writing world and making this very personal record. And I would just keep putting the personal one aside because I have children and I need to pay bills. And I kept saying yes to and I realized it was hard to do both. And so my publishing deal ended a year ago or maybe more. And then I really hit the pedal to the metal on my own music. Cause I was like, it's gotta be now. Like, why have I waited on this? You know, I waited on it because it felt so rough. I was doing all this polished stuff for TV and then like making my rough record that sounds like, oh, I did make it like myself with Bill, but Bill is polished. Bill's got like, I think he might have Grammys or something, but he was in Band of Horses forever and he did Avett Brother Records. And I feel so honored that he worked on my record. He's a pal.
That's,
yeah. Anyways, that's how
what a journey.
It took a journey to get there. Thank you for letting me be so
No, I mean, I
long-winded.
feel like we're just kind of like getting there and we'll probably hang out here and go somewhere else and come back.
I also made a whole nother version of this record with a live band. Yeah.
Will it come see the light of day?
I think it will. YK has it. Actually, that's the first record I pitched them and they said yes to it. And then in January, I was like, I have this other record that feels like demos, but I think it needs to come out first. But it's the same songs. And they're like, this is weird, but okay. So I think I'll put out the two versions of the same record.
Do you think
very different?
Wonderful. I mean,
Yeah.
there are no rules.
Yeah, there are no rules anymore. I just keep putting all the content out all the time.
I mean, I feel like that's the
It's
only
actually
way
pretty
to do.
fun. Yeah. I'm excited about it. Putting lots of content out.
Yeah. Are you very strategic minded?
No.
Yeah.
I just write every day. I'm making myself write an hour a day. And then I'm like, what do I got to do next after I write for that hour? Do I have to write lyrics or do I have to finish songs I worked on for a year? Or do I have to like work on my website or I don't know.
Yes.
Actually, that's their job, YK now. Yeah, I'm not really. I should probably be strategic, but I just make myself work on it every day. And
I think that's
try
wonderful.
to, like check, boxes.
Yeah. But then as far as like releasing goes, they do that. Or that's your decision on some level too.
Yeah.
Like, how do you know how are you going to know when it's time to put out the
other one?
the companion?
Probably,
record?
I think we like loosely talked about it. Actually, I don't remember now. I'm thinking I'll put it out, maybe early next year.
Yes.
I'm guessing. I'm like, we're gonna have to. I'm moving, and then after I move in the fall, we'll make the big plan. So,
I'm asking for a friend. Because one of the things that I find, I too write every day.
Awesome.
Because I'm the most unstrategic person ever invented. And it's not good.
I don't think it's
from a
not
business
good.
perspective.
Oh, who
it's
cares
just
about
not
business?
I know. Well,
Actually,
I think that you
do
need to
care.
have somebody on your team that's got
Yeah,
their
that's
head
true.
screwed on tight.
Actually,
in that way.
I am so in the air, Michael. I'm surprised. He's like I played a gig at Vinyl Tap and left all my records there. I have to go pick them up, but it's been like 3 weeks. That's how in the air I am. Actually, I'll probably go do that after this. Now that I've said
You're
it.
on
out loud.
you're in the neighborhood.
Yeah,
Might as well
I'm in
swing
East
by.
Nashville. I don't come over here a lot. unless
It'll
I
be
play a
open.
show. Yeah.
Yeah, I choose. Let's see. I also like I write every day because that's the thing that I can kind of do, and that's
Yeah.
what I like doing. That's where I want to live. And a lot of the reason why this is happening right now, this podcast, is because after having toured constantly for, I mean, 10 years just about. My goal when I moved to town was like, I want to know what it's like to be sick of touring, because I couldn't imagine that. All I wanted to do was play shows.
Oh, cool. Yes.
And so there's like years where it was like 100, 150 shows a year. And
That's a lot.
It was a
to
lot.
me,
I- it
I've
was-
never really toured, really.
it was great. It was the adventure of a lifetime.
That's awesome.
And it's also, there came a point where I was like, cool, I have reached the goal.
Yeah.
I am now sick of touring. And I traveled so much that, and then the pandemic kind of conveniently hit. That's not good way to put that, but it just like it timed right in there where I was like, you know what? I think because I've always been really passionate about music, and I've had some natural aptitude for it since I was a kid. And in that way that you get that message when you're a kid, and people are like, dude, you can sing. And like, oh, I can.
Yeah.
I guess I will. But personality wise, is I'm a super book nerd. And I also have been since I was a little kid. And those things are a little different. And I always thought when I would get older, there would be a point at which I would sort of like sashay out of the scene and start to really devote a bunch of time to writing books, because it's important to me to write novels.
Yeah.
Which is totally ridiculous.
No, it's not.
From any sort of financial.
Maybe financial.
anything.
All
But
art is like initially not financially viable.
And I know that. And I'm like, thank God
Sorry, I'm
my
like,
partner
Corby,
doesn't
come-
mind.
Oh, right.
Because there's no money, there's no sign.
Yeah.
But who knows? Who cares? But
Who cares?
so anyway, when I shifted out of that, like prior to that kind of 2019 time or 2018 is when some of that was happening. I was just like, I was on my shit all the time. I was like, I was booking most of my shows. I made the records. I do the Kickstarter. Then I was writing. I'd do co-write. Just making sure. And I was like, wake up every day and I had a list. I was like very organized, and I'm just like white knuckling. Yeah, I was like, I can do that.
You
and that's,
can. Yeah,
that's why I was able to have a career, because I was like
awesome.
wearing that hat. And then I kind of came to a point where I'm like, part of it was like in 2021, I put out a record, and I had a little bit of label help, but it was still onus on me. And I'm like looking up like I've also been in the music business. I put out my first record in 2003 or something like that. I'm old. And so
No, you're fine.
it's just so different now.
Yeah,
and like when CDs disappeared, I was just like, you know what? I'm kind of sick of this. Like half my income just disappeared overnight. You know what I mean? And then this 2021 record comes out, and I like look up how to release a record in 2021, as you do. And, it's just like, you should plot it all out, and then you start posting reels every day, and then and like, this is how you got to do it. And I'm just like, I started trying to do it, and I'm like, I hate my life. I hate this.
Yeah, I'm not
I
gonna
don't
do
want to do this. I'm not going to do this. I will accept the consequences. And, like part of that was like, it kind of was very nice way of cluing me into, yep, you move at a slower pace, dude. You always kind of have. It's very difficult for me to stay current with like music dropping all the time. It takes I find out about it 3 years after everybody else. I'm like, man, that Bonnie Light Horseman record's fucking slamming. But
I don't know who they are.
Bonnie Light Horseman.
No. Oh my God.
Okay.
That's where
like
I'm at. I'm in like a corner.
Yeah, it's so funny. There's no centralization to anything anymore.
No
we all
way.
just have like our weird little friend group
Yeah.
that tells us to turn this on. Anyway, Bonnie Light Horseman, you should check him out. It's
Okay, I'll
amazing.
check him out.
And Aeneas Mitchell and the guy from, it's kind of a super group. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Look him up. But yeah, the book world moves slow, and slow is where I live. And so like I write all the time, but I also am like trying to, I still write music, and I like have a new song I'm working on right now.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. But I'm also like, okay, dude, my problem in life, this is turning into a therapy session for me, and I don't intend for that. So I'm going to be done in 1 second.
It's okay. You can talk.
But I'm just like, I am not a person, I don't think that like my identity is not exactly wrapped up in music, but I do love playing it, and I want to continue to play it. And there's a part of me that's like afraid that I'm going to all of a sudden it's going to be too far since I wrote my last song. This is actually pretty vulnerable. And I'll like, just suddenly it'll just go away and I'll have written my last song and I'll realize it was 2 years ago and I'll be done. And then I hear myself say that. I'm like, dude, there's nothing to ever stop you from writing a song. You could just
also,
stop.
like, what is the fear? Is it like not being... Okay, here's my perspective. I voluntarily did that. I was like, I will never write a song again unless I feel it's coming from the right spot, which is not like, I want to be entertaining, right? But like now when I did my bags, it released all this pressure to perform, you know? And so it was so freeing to be like, I don't ever have to write if I don't want to, you know? So that's what I'm saying. We're very different. I was like, goodbye music forever, unless it's just for me in my own closet and defining exactly how I don't know. Anyways, but are you afraid? Sorry, now this isn't there.
Okay.
Are you afraid that like the space, like if you never write again, what are you afraid of?
I don't know. I don't, it's not rational.
Yeah, I guess, but art isn't really rational. But I get what you're saying.
I think that, okay, well, right now I'm working on this novel and I'm serious about it. And I write every day on it.
Wow.
And working on a novel is a whole nother level of crazy and lonely because there's no little morsels along the way. And I'm not trying to say that one's better than another, but when you write a song, it's kind of done and you can like show somebody.
Writing music, I feel so privileged in the art world because we can create something that's so fast.
It's so fast.
It's so easy. Every other art form feels very like a pretty big chore to get it out there, you know? Anyways, keep going though.
So
Writing
that's what
a novel
this is. It's a very
plodding
long
along.
chore. And I'm like 50,000 words into an 80,000 word first draft.
Wow,
and it's
good
like,
job.
Thanks. And I'll just like, I'm like, thanks. I feel like people like ask me how I'm doing and I'm like, I don't know. How am I just like, I wake up and I just do what I'm supposed to do and I don't worry about it. I mean, I do worry about it, but I don't let the worrying stop me from doing it. Cause it's like, if I start to think about how I feel, I'm like, oh, it's like not helpful in some ways. Because it doesn't matter how I feel.
Yeah.
It's like, what matters is, did I hit my word count?
Did you do the work? Yeah.
Did I do the work?
Yeah.
And,
that's true.
So it's just weird to think that like, this is going to be like this year's project. And it is like, I'm not putting out a record, right now. And I think that this is probably what I'm doing right now is going to see the light of day, if I'm lucky, 2 or 3 years from now.
Yeah.
And so it's like that kind of thing. I'm like, and what if it ends up just being totally terrible? And it's pretty bad right now, but I can also see, I'm like, it's not going to be bad.
But what's cool about a novel, okay, this is my perspective being a 7 on the Enneagram. I don't like to get boxed in it anyway. But if you have a novel and it sucks and you're like, I don't want anybody to ever read this, but you like the story premise, you could just storyboard it and then try
Make
to
a
sell the
movie.
script or something.
Yeah.
Like you could just be like, I'm going to recycle this whole thing and then pull in a team and be like, does this suck it? Sorry, that's always where my brain is. I'm writing a script right now. I've been doing it for a while with a friend in LA and we'd long distance write. And his version is the novel version. It's really interesting how we're writing adjacent or a parallel writing each, but it's nice because we're not alone. You're alone in your head. I don't think I could ever do this. Well, I think I could. Actually, I have written scripts. Who knows if they'll see the light of day. I did it just because. For
you?
Yeah, the story came to my brain and I was like, I got to write this out. And it's I say script, it's just a huge premise, long form, whatever blob of writing it is. But
yeah, that's a great way to do it. That's
Yeah.
what I did. The novel that I'm writing, I wrote the story in 2021 between other things with that highly permissive.
Oh,
I'm highly
nice.
permissive when I write. It's
That's
it
great.
does not matter.
Wow.
You just go and go
Yeah,
and
yeah,
go
yeah,
and go.
yeah.
Because it once in a while you catch a tear.
Yeah.
And then you're high.
Yeah, it
And
really creates a
then
high.
you're really going. And
Right.
that's what the magic. And you can't force that, but you can just not be in your way.
Yeah.
And just be very accepting. Editing is so much easier than writing.
Yeah.
To me. Let's talk about the movie that you were in for a second, since we're kind of talking about that stuff. And how did that happen? And how did you find acting?
Okay.
The doing of it.
Never wanted to act before, not in the least, but in fact, acting sort of it was revolting. That's a weird. I feel bad saying that to all the actors out there because I do feel like it's a super high art form. But for me, I was not for me. It was it was embarrassing. Actually, when I did the role, I didn't tell any of my family because I didn't want them to know. Isn't that weird? I was But okay, so
Why didn't you want them to know? Just
I was
curious.
just embarrassed. It's like I said yes to something I was going to be really embarrassed about. I don't know. It was a very vulnerable role too. Okay, so never wanted to act. I went to a show. Really like I didn't really want to go to this show at Charlie Bob's. It's a diner dive that doesn't exist anymore in Nashville. But my employee, one of my tailors that sewed my bags for me, Tyler Davis, shout out, such a sweet, amazing soul. He still alive. See, like, that sounded like I was saying he wasn't alive anymore. Okay, so he had a show. His band's called Chrome Pony, and it was like late at night. I pulled myself up off the couch. My friend from high school was in town. I was like, we should go to the show. We got to the show. I was literally in like running clothes. So I knew this opportunity was probably pretty real because this director just approached me, Emily Kaibach, and she was like, have you ever acted before? Do you want to do this? Like, I want you to be in this movie. And I was like, this is a joke. I was like, what? And then, okay, so I can't talk about this without my house being involved. So she was like, hey, I wrote this script and it's about this girl who was pregnant, like living off the grid, I think till she was like 7 months or 8 months pregnant. And then she got out of there and she was like a little homestead right outside of Nashville. And she got out and then like made a new life for herself. And I was like, I did that. And she was like, what? And I was like, did somebody push you up to this? And I was like, my husband and I were building a house like off the grid right outside of Nashville. And I was 7 months pregnant and it got too cold. And I was like, we can't be here anymore. And I got out of there. And I was like, I did that. Like, and we were both kind of dumbfounded. And I was like, this is the weirdest congruency. Is that a word?
Kismet on.
So then I was like, oh, we'll see about this. I don't act. You know what I mean? I also have a handbag company that if I leave for 2 weeks, like it's not like it was really busy, but it's like I have Tyler on as an employee and like who's here playing the show, you know, and Emily just came out of nowhere. Like I don't know her. And she actually came through this like bonfire smoke and just appeared. We still joke about that because she's like one of my best friends in all the world. So the film, I got the script that night and I read it, and I actually was in a really hard spot artistically, like with my own handbag company. I knew I was like reaching a wall. Like I did not want to go into the studio anymore and sew anymore. And it wasn't doing well financially at the time too. So I was like, ugh, it was just so hard. And we were in the middle of building our house. We were back in the camper because I had gotten pregnant. We're still building literally all ourselves, right? We're like building the straw bale house we would get a little bit of money. We would build it. It was just like insane time of life. And then Emily approaches me. I had the baby, my 10-year-old now, and we like moved into a rental house, still wasn't done, moved back into the camper next to the house we were building. And then Emily approaches me and I'm just tired, right? Because I'm running my bag company. I'm raising my son in a freaking camper, not even a trailer. It's a tiny little camper. And I get this script and I'm like, it's like midnight after I get home and they'd sent me the script and I was reading it and I started crying because in the script, not only is it so similar to my life, minus the fact there's like a pretty bad guy in the movie where like, you know, this gal's got to escape from. My husband is amazing, but that's the only
notable difference.
But I was upset with him because like,
bad guys are relative.
Well, it was like not like he was like harming me like the dude in the script, but like I was like, it was a hard freaking time, right? Like I was like, this is taking a long time to build this house, even though it was my idea too. But I read in the script and I like get to this part where she's like driving this car at like away. It's like the car she gets away in, and it's my car. It's a 1985 Volkswagen Golf. I think hers might have been like a 85 Rabbit. They like, I think it's the
same car.
It's
really,
this. I was like, what? And I just started crying because not only the story is so similar, but the car. Like my car is such a weird, rare car. There's not a lot of them out there. You know, like this little diesel I drive. So I was like, a freaking old Volkswagen is the same. Like it just felt so. So I said yes because I also thought like if I suck, then it's her fault because she's the one who approached a stranger at a bar. I was like, I'll like take some pressure off. I've never wanted to act before, and I was like, this will be fun. So I said yes. And it was a hard thing to do. I met all the Nashville film people. Actually, Laura Kreiner, who produced the film, I was working for her today. So it like threw me back into the heart of art world. That's kind of weird. Like I was amongst Emily trying to do this hard film to make all on film. Like we're like burning through film, right? Her boyfriend, our partner Evan, they're married now. He shot it, and I met him too. He's also one of my best friends in all the world now too. So the film gave me the opportunity to meet all of the Nashville film people and my two best friends now, Emily and Evan. And it did really well, which is a plus, like in all the like film circuits. And I really thought, I was like, maybe I should be an actress. So like I got some meetings. Actually the guy I'm writing the script with was an agent at William Morris, and I had a meeting with him, and I was like, how do I be an actress? Like, and he was like, you got to be in a feature, maybe write one. And it's funny, we're writing it now. I'm like, oh, let's make it happen. But so yeah, the film also like showed me I hate making bags. Like I had to go back to the studio, and I was like, oh my gosh, working on a film set's so fun. It's like a different thing every day, even though it's exhausting. But like it's just, I was like, you can make a living doing this. So I realized that was like the kick. That was like, I didn't want to do, it really was the moment in time where I was like, I don't want to do bags anymore. This is going to suck as a transition, but I didn't want to do bags. And it took I was so wishy-washy, like back and forth trying, I don't know, because it was such a good thing for so long, but I didn't love it anymore. The film proved that. And right after that, I told my landlord, Kelly Bonnies and Aaron Wright. Do you know Aaron Wright? He's a songwriter in town. They like owned the building I was renting for my handbag company. I had to let them know. I was like pulling the plug on myself. I'm like, if I have a studio where I can make bags, I will keep making them. So I wrote right after film, I was like, I'm going to make my record. I don't know how I'm going to make money, but I'm not going to do bags. I'll go be a waitress again or something. So then Aaron was like, he has a publishing deal. With the publisher I made bags for back in the day for Twilight. Is that, I'm trying to connect dots. Anyway, so the
Cobalt people
the Cobalt people. So I was like, well, it's called the Stable. It's like attached to Cobalt. It doesn't matter. So I told them I had to be out of my studio and I'm going to end the lease. And they were like, oh, why? And I was like, I'm going to make music and be a waitress again. And then they were like, hey, we should talk to Casey. Like she probably would offer you a publishing deal. And I was like, that would be insane. Like, let's do it. And within 24 hours, like she was like, let's do the courtship process and have you writing. So it was a very amazing, serendipitous, like couple months of transition. And I feel like I can like box it up and like tell the story, but it was really crazy time. So, it felt wild and we're still building our house, but that's how I got into the film. And it was like so serendipitous. When I tell the story, I'm like, how did that happen? Emily and I still are like, how did I live the life that you wrote? It's like that movie Stranger Than Fiction. Yeah. In the car, I think they had a hard time finding that car to rent. You know what I mean? And I just had it.
What color was it?
My car's black. It still is. It's one of our daily drivers. Yeah.
Nice.
55 miles to the gallon. It's like my dream car. Isn't that awesome?
Still, after all these years.
Yeah, and it's such a rad thing. I mean, my husband has restored it, and he's restored a Volkswagen bus too. We both love Volkswagens.
Yeah, I had a VW bus, a '69. That
cool.
I've replaced the air-cooled engine in it. That was a love affair back in there. That was many chapters ago. I think I was 18 to 22.
Oh, nice.
But formative years. And now I have a Volvo. I upgraded.
Oh yeah.
To 240s. So that's it. I draw the line there.
Oh yeah.
Done modernizing.
That's
okay.
Funny. Yeah.
Well, okay, maybe you should play a song because we've been talking for like an hour. Have we about Kyle? Man, this time has flown. Would you mind?
I don't mind. Here we go.
Thank you for the password to your masterclass. I'm gonna look it up when I'm done writing this song. You're my friend, and I love you, and I think about you often. You and your baby all the time, growing in your belly. Oh, I miss you, I do. I'm fine every day until 4 o'clock. hits that hour and I wanna go to bed. Somehow I think about all the loves in my life at the same time. I try to make a call, but I get busy with my kids. It gets late, then tomorrow rolls in. Oh, I miss you, I do.
That was so good, and you are so good and interesting, and you were a great guest, and I'm so glad that you spent some time talking to me. And I'm so excited for your next chapter. Your life turns like little tumblers in a lock. It's just like very.
I don't know what that is. Wait, a tumbler.
A tumbler, like
You don't have
like
to
when you
explain.
put a key in a lock. There's like tumbler. That was a really. I don't know why I said that.
Old-timey.
It's an old-timey reference. Welcome to my world.
Sorry, I'm not making fun of me. Okay, so my life turns like tumblers in a rock.
And it's just like I can't wait to see what happens next. Now we can extend the analogy and be like the lock, and then the door opens, and it's a whole new room.
Yeah.
And I don't know where you're going to be this time next year, and it's really exciting.
Yeah, we'll see.
And I think this is going to come out a little after the August 1 show. So I know that was an awesome experience for you. And I'm glad that everybody came out. I'll be there.
Oh, yeah. It was a great show. It's like my best show ever in Nashville.
And
Wait, sorry.
I hope we get to do this again soon.
Yeah.
It's great to talk to you.
Okay, thanks.
Hey, thanks for watching. Go ahead and click here to like and subscribe. You can click right there to watch another video, or click here to watch a playlist featuring songs of the Morse Code podcast. Okay, thank you very much.